Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, smoke still emanating from Riverton City dump. Smoke is still emanating from the Riverton City disposal site in St. Andrew. Deputy Commissioner Cian Martin, Chief Fire Prevention Officer in the Jamaica Fire Brigade, said that there are small pockets of the site which continue to smolder from last week's fire. He said that the Jamaica Fire Brigade has been assisting the National Solid Waste Management Authority to cover the area with dirt. They are the ones who are bringing in the cover material. We are wetting the cover material and assisting in putting out the fires as we see it. So that the situation is still ongoing. The smoke nuisance is not as bad as it was. We're hoping that we can totally get rid of the situation in short order, he said. St. Thomas Councillor blasts the NWC for not addressing residents' fears of flooding. Councillor for the Trinityville Division in St. Thomas, Dean Jones, is accusing the National Works Agency of sabotaging the residents of Old Road in Danvers Pen. His comment follows Thursday's protest by residents over concerns about possible flooding. Mr. Jones said discussions were held with the Chief Executive Officer of the National Works Agency, E.G. Hunter, but he said nothing has been done to allay the fears of the residents. Calling the agency colors, Mr. Jones argued that the NWC does not care about the people's plight. The Old Road residents protested after several appeals for river training work on the Negro River, which runs parallel to their community, were ignored. Those who were flooded out during heavy rainfall in November last year are on the edge in light of the forecast for an active 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, which begins on June 1. The residents are also appealing for the Ministry of Labor to fulfill the promise to compensate those who suffered losses during flood rains last year. Tentative date is set for meeting to discuss correctional officers' grouses. Chairman of the Jamaica Federation of Corrections, Arlington Turner, says a tentative date has been set to meet with the Ministry of Finance to discuss the delay in completing their compensation review. Correctional officers across the island were restive earlier on Thursday over the stalled compensation review exercise. Mr. Turner said the officers were at work but were not carrying out their normal duties. Those assigned to the Horizon Adult Remand Center in Kingston took industrial action about 7:30 Thursday morning but resumed the duties around 1:15 in the afternoon. Mr. Turner said that the action of the correctional officers is a direct result of the Ministry of Finance cancelling a meeting that was scheduled for last week Wednesday to discuss the compensation review. Providing an update Thursday afternoon, Mr. Turner said a sense of normality has been restored across the correctional facilities after the ministry set a tentative date of April 25 for a meeting. Thursday morning's action by correctional officers disrupted the collection of food items from relatives of prisoners who went to deliver meals to their loved ones. The transportation of inmates scheduled for court appearances was also affected. Alleged extortionist granted bail. A St. Catherine man who allegedly hit a woman in the face after she refused to pay him extortion money was granted $200,000 bail when he appeared in court on Thursday. Cedric Brooks, who is charged with demanding money by menace and assault occasioning bodily harm, appeared in the St. Catherine Parish Court before Judge Desiree Alain. He has been ordered to report twice weekly to the Spanish Town Police Station, keep away from the complainant, and reappear in court on July 15. It is alleged that on March 3, Brooks confronted and demanded money from the complainant, who was in a public passenger vehicle in Spanish Town. When she refused his request, he allegedly used a water bottle to hit her in the face. The woman made a report to the police, and Brooks was arrested after he was pointed out by the complainant in Spanish Town. He was subsequently charged. Curtis and Holness may have to resolve issue through mediation, says Barnett. Constitutional expert Dr. Lloyd Barnett has described as unfortunate and sad the so-called letter saga in which Speaker of the House of Representatives Juliette Holness released a missive on March 25 to lawmakers reprimanding former clerk to the Houses, Valerie Curtis. The public rebuke was done after the former clerk allegedly failed to carry out the November 7 ruling of the Speaker in relation to the tabling of reports on public bodies from the Auditor General. What is happening now is very unfortunate and sad for Jamaica. We have never had anything like that as far as I can recall, Barnett told the news on Wednesday. He suggested that the two parties may have to go the route of mediation to resolve the issue. In an exclusive interview with the news, the former clerk said she would accept nothing less than a retraction of the Speaker's letter that accused her of gross dereliction of duty and bringing the Parliament into disrepute. Curtis dismissed the accusations that she failed to carry out her duties, noting that she first returned the Financial Services Commission audit on January 8 before proceeding on vacation leave the following day. While she was on leave, the second audit report on Tax Administration Jamaica was sent to Parliament on January 29. The former clerk returned to the legislature on February 5. Barnett said because of the delicacy of the situation, only some sort of internal mediation would be probably constructive, because if you are going to have a public inquiry or anything like that, it is going to make matters worse and the people will not want to submit themselves to that. According to Barnett, people scarcely show respect for each other in Jamaica, noting that everything is intensely political, personal and vindictive. We seem to be following the American example. Senate President Tom Tavares Finson said on Wednesday that there was no lingering animosity between heads of the upper and the lower houses of Parliament and the retired clerk. He noted that the clerk reports to the Speaker and the President of the Senate. The clerk was reprimanded by the Speaker in relation to a matter that the Speaker was of the view warranted such a reprimand, and it is important to point out, because a person works with an organization for over 30 years does not mean that that person is beyond reproach if there is an infraction, Tavares Finson declared. Curtis worked with the Parliament for 28 years and 6 months. However, Barnett contends that action should not be taken against any employee without a due process being observed. In any situation, whether you are a civil servant, private employee, or occupy a special position, the person who supervises you, whether employer or superior officer, cannot reprimand you without properly adopting fair standards and the procedures, he said. Barnett reasoned that a reprimand is a form of punishment, and as such, proper procedures must be followed before it is carried out. You have to tell the person what the complaint is and give them a chance to respond formally. It must be a rational decision. It's not a question of whether you can do as you want because you are the Speaker or President, or because the person is not a civil servant. The basic principles that apply to any Jamaican citizen is that we are entitled to fairness and the due process, he insisted. While the Clerk of the Houses reports to the Speaker and the President, Curtis pointed out that it did not mean that the presiding officers could not take over the administrative role of the Parliament's administrator. The former clerk said she received a correspondence from the Speaker and the President after she returned from leave on February 5, in which the presiding officers instructed that she should observe the temporary freeze on all recruitment activities, among other administrative directives. The retired clerk said she did not receive any directive from the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service in recent times before her retirement that Parliament should put a hold on recruitment of staff. Curtis, however, said that the clerk reports to the Speaker on procedural and other matters that occur during the sittings of the House, but not to seek guidance on administrative matters. She stressed that any instructions regarding a freeze on hiring should come from the government and not the presiding officers. The news understands that there is a severe deficiency in the number of Hansard writers in Parliament. At present, there are 5 Hansard writers, which is about half the official complement. While there are 2 positions on the establishment for parliamentary legal counsels, only 1 position has been filled at this time. A senior accounts payable officer position has been vacant for more than 6 months, the news understands. The government's state news agency, the Jamaica Information Service, says that the job of the Speaker is to see that other members keep within the rules of the House, that the rights of the opposition members are protected, and that every member gets a fair hearing. In Australia, a Commonwealth country, the Speaker's principal duty is to uphold the dignity of the House and to protect the rights and the privileges of the House and its members. The most visible aspect of the Speaker's role in Australia involves presiding over debates in the House chamber, enforcing the standing orders that have been adopted by the House, and ensuring the orderly conduct of business.